Hi students, welcome to Bosco Campus Vision. Today's session deals with the summary of the play Antigone by Jean Anouilh. Antigone is an adaptation of Sophocles' tragic play of the same title. It was written in 1942 and first performed in Paris on February 6, 1944. Antigone is one in a series of Anouilh's plays based on Greek mythology. Eurydice and Medea are the other plays based on Greek classics. The action follows the battle for Thebes, in which both of Antigone's brothers have been killed. The play opens with a prologue in which all the characters are on stage at once. The chorus introduces them one by one, comments on them, and describes the fate of those doomed to die that day. The chorus starts by introducing Antigone, the play's tragic heroine. Antigone is described as a tense, sallow, willful girl who is going to die. The chorus then introduces the other characters. Ismene, Antigone's older sister, Creon, Antigone's uncle and now the king of Thebes, Eurydice, Creon's wife, and Haemon, Antigone's lover and the son of Creon and Eurydice. The messenger and the three indifferent guards are also introduced by the chorus. The chorus also narrates the background that led up to the play. Oedipus, Antigone and Ismene's father, also had two sons, Eteocles and Polynices. When Oedipus died, it was agreed that the two brothers would alternate ruling over the city a year at a time. But after the first year, Eteocles, the elder one, refused to step down. So Polynices attacked the city and the two brothers met in battle, killed each other in single combat. After the brothers killed each other, Creon, Antigone's uncle, assumed control of the throne. To restore order, Creon issued a decree or order that Eteocles should be buried with full military honors while the body of Polynices should be left unburied without mourning. The decree also states that anyone attempting to bury his body will be put to death. The action begins as the chorus repeats the warning of the edict. Anyone affording Polynices proper burial rites will be mercilessly punished with death. The chorus exits. The light changes. It is a grey dawn in a sleeping house. Antigone comes into the house carrying her shoes. She is challenged by the nurse and explains that she has been out for a walk to see the dawn. Antigone at first allows the nurse to believe that she has been out for a romantic rendezvous. As Antigone is engaged to Haemon, the nurse is scandalized. But before she can get at the truth, Antigone's sister Ismene enters. The nurse is hustled out to make breakfast for the princess. Ismene tries to talk Antigone out of burying Polynices against Creon's edict. Antigone says that it is their duty to bury Polynices, but Ismene confesses to her sister that she is not courageous enough to support Antigone in giving their brother a decent burial. With their difference of opinion unresolved about covering up the corpse of Polynices, Ismene goes off to bed as the nurse returns. Now Antigone recalls her not so distant childhood memories of being comforted by the nurse. Now Haemon, Antigone's lover, arrives. Antigone apologizes for their argument the previous evening. Haemon forgives her, but he is bewildered by Antigone's dramatic warning that their dreams of marrying and having a son will come to nothing. Ismene returns, saying that she cannot sleep as she is terrified that Antigone will bury Polynices. Antigone replies with a strange smile. She announces to Ismene that her warnings are too late. She has already buried Polynices. Creon enters with Page, his attendant. Creon is informed by one of his guards that during night someone has covered Polynices' corpse with soil. All that is known is that it is someone who made a light footprint and left behind a child's spade. Creon is furious and he demands that the guards are sworn to secrecy and must return to uncover the body. The chorus now enters to deliver a soliloquy. The chorus informs the audience that the tragedy that is about to unfold is inevitable. It is like a tensed spring or a finely tuned machine ready to be put in motion at the flick of a finger. Antigone is now dragged in by the guards, having been caught trying to carve up the body. The chorus exits with the observation that the time has come for her to be herself at last. Creon is shocked to learn that Antigone was the one who disobeyed him. Creon then proceeds to interrogate the three guards, and the first guard tells him they witnessed Antigone frantically carrying her brother's body with the earth. He dismisses the guards and tells them to wait outside. The scene that follows is the most famous one in the play. Creon, the realist, the desperate ruler of a dangerously anarchic state, is confronted with Antigone, the idealist. The daughter of the profound and headstrong Oedipus is resolved to give Polynices proper burial rites simply because he was a brother. She does not care that the consequences for herself will certainly be death. Creon tries to convince her to renounce her actions. Creon earnestly tells Antigone about the story of her brothers. He relates how Polynices struck her father when he refused to pay for Polynices' gambling debts, which made Oedipus weep with anguish. Creon admits that Eteocles was no better, every bit as treacherous and eager to kill his father as was Polynices. He then urges Antigone to marry Haemon and enjoy her life, for life is nothing more than the happiness you get out of it. In return, Antigone questions the very notion of happiness. At the height of the row, with Antigone screaming insults at Creon, Ismene enters. She assures Antigone that she is now willing to help her bury Polynices, but her offer is angrily rejected. When Antigone fails to respond to his words, Creon becomes ill-tempered. Now Creon calls the guards to take Antigone away. Chorus is now alone briefly with Creon, pleading with him to spare Antigone. Creon explains to the chorus that death was a purpose, that Polynices was a mere pretext. When Haemon enters, Creon tells that he must live and Antigone must die. Haemon exits in despair, crying out Antigone's name. The three guards re-enter with Antigone, telling Creon that the crowd from the city are entering the palace. Creon thus orders the palace to be emptied. Antigone is now left alone with the first guard while waiting to be taken off to execution. In reply to her inquiry, the first guard informs Antigone that she is to die by being immured in a cave outside the city. In return for the offer of Antigone's gold ring, the first guard nervously agrees to deliver a message to Haemon, which she dictates to him. A sudden roll of drums is heard, and the other two guards enter to take Antigone away. Chorus observes that Antigone's fate is decided, and it is now the turn of everyone else to suffer. Haemon succeeded in getting into Antigone's tomb in order to die with her, only to find she had already hanged herself. On hearing Haman's cry of anguish, Creon entered the tomb too. As Creon entered, Haman stood to face with his father and then struck him across the face. He then drew his sword. With father and son standing staring at each other, Haman finally turned his sword on himself. Creon's suffering is completed when the chorus informs him that, in grief at the loss of her son, Queen Eurydice cut her throat. The chorus reminds him that he is now alone. Creon, now preparing to go on with the business of ruling by attending a 5 o'clock cabinet meeting. The play ends with a brief epilogue in which the chorus comments upon what has occurred. So, this is the basic plot. Thank you so much for paying attention.